Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Loser. How are you today? That sounds awesome. So, folks, it's barely enough for an episode, but Grant Amato is back in the news. He's going for an appeal. I watched the Court TV YouTube channel's coverage on it, but pretty much they're going for jury selection issues. That seems to be kind of the go-to. Apparently, one of the jurors was asked about a life sentence, and she said something like, damn, that's a lot of money for the taxpayers, and that's a conflict of interest. So that's what he's going for. It sounds like Amato has really taken the role as the head of his case, if you know what I mean. You got to stay ahead of these things. And in jailhouse phone call, recorded phone calls with a documentary filmmaker from pretty much exactly a year ago, which come off as maybe the most pathetically delusional call or attitude or worldview that I've ever seen. And so I never heard the jailhouse phone calls until recently. There's a timestamp that they're about a year old. So now what I'm almost more interested in now is how has his mentality about Sylvia changed at this point? Now he's been in prison for a year. And he doesn't really look like the type of person that is going to excel in prison. And so it'll be interesting. But so in the jailhouse phone call, he's talking to this guy and he goes, yeah, I think that I got a pretty good chance, not only at appealing the trial phase, but the whole case. And he's got that confident, psycho, monotone voice that I have not missed listening to Grant's interrogation. They're also, I heard, trying to get the interrogation to be able, so they can't use that as evidence if there is a new trial. They want the interrogation video thrown out. And if you remember the interrogation video, it's the famous one where the male interrogator's trying to get Grant to confess, and you can tell he's a little bit run out of strategies because he's just going, Grant, now's the time. Now's the time. Now's the exact time. A lot of people said I've had a good career. Some people said I've had the best career. She'll tell you. But now is the time. Even Grant sitting there going, what is he talking about? She'll tell you. Some say it's the best. But the crux of the interrogation was, if you remember, he was acting like, what? I was kicked out because my family said I ruined their life. Can you imagine? All I did was flush their whole entire nest egg down the toilet to watch some Bulgarian woman flick her bean 4 hours a night. And I blew all the money that the family had, ruined everything. But then they had the nerve to say, Grant, stop that. You know, he's just, listening to Grant talk is something else about really any topic. And so if you remember, he was in the interrogation being like, no, my family kicked me out because they said I ruined everything, and I left, and I was just out there in the lonely world. And did something happen to my family? I wouldn't know. And then they're like, Grant, we know you drove by. We know you drove by your parents' house when there was a news truck and a bunch of police cars, flashing lights, the whole thing. You weren't a little bit curious? You were only gone like one night or something. You weren't a little curious? And he was like, and then they go, oh yeah, you also went to Panera Bread and then searched top news story, clicked on the shooting that was at your house after you saw the news truck and all the police. You clicked on the story, and then for about one or couple seconds, and then clicked off. What, you weren't curious? And he was just like, and it just, you also, Grant, you had motive. You had probably the most insane confrontation that you've ever had with your dad and family because of the whole Bulgarian situation. and then this whole nightmare happens right after you're public or pathetically like wandering around Publix trying to find some Wi-Fi. Grant. So I don't think the appeal is going anywhere, but of course he's going to try. What else is old Grant doing in prison? You can only sit in the mirror and admire the shape of your own skull for so many hours before it's like, all right, maybe I'll mount an appeal. Maybe I'll go for that. But so like I said, I don't think the appeal is going to do much. But the phone conversations between this documentary filmmaker are pretty fascinating. I'll post the Court TV link in the description. I couldn't find where this documentary is or when it's coming out. I tried to Google for a little bit, or where to listen to more of the conversations. But it sounds like this documentary film maker really got in on Grant's side and got him talking, because a chunk of it was like, the guy goes, I'm really impressed just how calm you are. You know, you're in jail and you don't know, I'm just impressed. And Grant's like, yeah, well, I think that it's probably because I don't know anything about it. And then he's like rambling. He's like, yeah, it's weird because there's a lot of people in here that are doing lifetimes for horrible things, and they're terrible people. But then there's people in there like me that are innocent and are just waiting. And it's like, all right, Grant, let's do the charade. All right, yeah, you're. But the documentary filmmaker's like, yeah, just keep talking to me because I need to make this film. And I thought it was interesting. He said it was that he's defending his Bulgarian cam model relationship where he psychotically funneled her all of his parents' money. And he's going, it was my first time. He was like, it was weird for me. It's my first time on a site like that. It was the first girl that I saw, and I pretty much just completely fell in love with her. And I mean, that could be a lie. Maybe he was just an addict on those cams, but I kind of believe it, because if you remember, he was either a nurse or almost a nurse, on his way to being a nurse. It honestly isn't even worth looking up for this dude. But he worked at the hospital, and then he got fired for stealing the drug that Michael Jackson OD'd on. So they were like, dude, you can't steal the drug that Michael Jackson OD'd on. You're out of here. And then that, I guess, sent him down one of the saddest, most pathetic life spirals that I've ever seen. And so he went home and just was sad and lonely. And then I think he clicked on that cam site, and then it was Sylvia, like, woo, I'm looking good tonight. And I think they're professionals at just making, like, Grant is like, no. He at one point he goes, I would flat out agree that there was a money aspect to it, okay? But it wasn't, wait, what does he say? There was a money aspect to it, but that's with everybody. If you were married to someone who has a lot of money, you would enjoy that part in the relationship. But it's like, Grant, one, you don't have any money. You never did. You got fired for stealing the drug that Michael Jackson OD'd on, remember? You weren't married to Sylvia, right? She's just a Bulgarian cam, girl. Like, how would you explain? You could see why his dad was just at the end of his pitiful rope. Like, what are you talking about? And another just completely insane part of it is he's in jail at this point. You would think reality would just hit him at some point and he would go, oh my God. I blew it. Wow. All right. Dang. She was just like an internet porn thing. All right. Crap. Well, all right. I see it clearly now. Sorry, everybody. It was like she was being really nice to me and I thought we were married, but I see it now. But that's not the jailhouse conversations. He's going, Yeah, I'm pretty mad that they posted the pictures of her from my computer because a lot of those pictures, anyone that pays the tokens gets to see. But some of those were just personal to me. And it's like, Grant, who cares? No one. They were personal to me. No one else had those. Grant, you shot your whole family. What are we talking about? And then he's like, she never asked me for money. It wasn't about that. It's like any time that there's tokens involved, you're not married. Okay? I don't know, Grant. But anyhow, he's going for the appeal. I doubt it makes it very far at all. I don't know anyone that paid attention to his trial and then when it was over was like, that was completely unjust, the whole thing. And so we'll follow that. I would love, that conversation was a year ago, like July of last year, and it was in jail. So now it's a year later and he's in prison. So I would love another round of phone calls to see if he's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm not really feeling too attached to Sylvia anymore. But anyway, that's all I got to say about old Grant Amato. Totally unrelated story is kind of funny. Last week, I got a message from a woman. She said she's an executive at a TV company, and she's watched the show a couple times, and they're looking to do a show maybe I'd be right for. And she said, I don't want to give any details on the show they're trying to make, but she maybe did like a sentence describing the show. And from that sentence, I pictured the show as like maybe I would just be sitting in a chair telling crime stories or telling, stories. And so I was like, that kind of sounds good. So I sent her back a message. All right, let's talk tomorrow at 4 or something. And so then the next day comes, and it's like classic TV type. It's like first the meeting was at 4, and then she's got I got another meeting at 4. Can we move it up? And it's like, okay, let's do it at 12. Oh, can't do it at 12. Let's do it at 12:30. I'm seeing someone right now. Or actually, no, let's do it at 12:30. And so, okay, we're talking, and she's going, and really cool, nice lady, just really fast talker, TV, like, all right, hey, I've watched the show, blah, blah, blah. And she goes, all right, I think we're going to try to make this show. I've done my homework. I think you could be good for it. Like the show would be like this. And it was pretty much not what I was picturing. And I was like, oh, I thought it was kind of like this. And she's like, no, it's like this, but I think you'd be good for it. And so in my head, like in the moment while on the phone talking to her, I'm like, would I be good for it in this? And, show business and comedy and whatever you want to call it is just a total nightmare. You're just deciding like, all right, I need fucking money to eat, but this sounds pretty shitty, but should I do it? I don't know. It could be good exposure, but it could just be awful. So I'm sitting there running this through my head, and she's going, when I just knew it was not going to happen is at one point she goes, I know you do comedy, and it's funny, but for this, I think we want to set the comedy aside, and maybe it's a little bit more serious. And she was like, I watched your show a little bit, and you're serious, right? You don't like make fun of these people, right? And I was like, I mean, I don't make fun of the victim, but I make fun of the I call the person that did it like redardy or, a whole list of things. And you could tell that she listened to like a few clips of the shows or something. She's like, okay, but you're serious, right? And I was like, I don't know, it's kind of a comedy show. And then it was funny, she pointed out the irony. She was like, all right, well, so I'm arguing for you and you're arguing against yourself at this point. And we kind of laughed, and then she goes, you know what? I love it. I want to put you on camera. Can you do a Zoom meeting at 4, like later at 4 o'clock? This was around noon. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So I hang up the phone, and this is reality TV, right? And I was just sitting there thinking, I don't want to do reality TV. I know a couple other comedians that have made the mistake of, and she was cool. This woman was cool in the sense of she flat out told me, she was like, I know you do comedy, but we kind of want to set that aside because reality TV shows, they love putting comedians in, but they don't really like to say that you're a comedian because they just want they just want personality, someone that's gonna entertain. But it's almost more interesting for them to just be like, yeah, he's just some like wacky guy that's obsessed with crime. He's not trying to make it or anything as a comedian. That's a little bit unlikable. But yeah, he's just this wacky guy we found him on the street. And like I have another friend that almost was in this same situation. Is they hit him up and they were like, hey, it was a reality TV show, and they were like, he can juggle a little bit, so they were like, yeah, we want you to juggle, and you can tell people you're a comedian, and that can be like part of your little thing. And then he did it, and they cut out all of the parts where he was like, yeah, I'm trying to make it as a comedian, hoping he gets a following or something, exposure for that. They cut out all of that. Because the thing with reality TV is they don't care if you're trying to make it as a comedian. That's great. Well, we're trying to do this reality TV show, and we need this character, and this character, and this character for the reality TV show. And whether you're really trying to make it as a soap opera actor, as a comedian, whatever the hell you said, we want to make you this character. And sadly, that character wasn't a comedian, and so. And then, like, the show came out, and he hated everything. So I was sitting there just being like, all right, I don't think I want to do this. That's what's great about having True Crime Loser, too, is, like, if worst case scenario, I'll just do my show, you know? I feel very free in the sense that I don't feel like I have to, all right, yeah, I'll do some reality TV show. I have nothing. And so I just shot her a message. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm right for it. And she was cool. I was like, if you ever want to do a late night comedy storytelling show, crime show, hit me up. And so maybe after this show that she describes tanks, they'll be sitting around going, let's do another one. And they'll think of that one and hit me up. Or maybe not. I really don't care. But anyway, I was almost a reality TV star, people, but it didn't work out. I'm going to cut it off there. I hope you're having a good start to the week. Don't be like Grand Amato and kill your whole family because of some Bulgarian porn thing. It's not worth it. I promise you it's not worth it. I love you all. I'll see you next time on True Crime Loser. Why? Starving why.